Hello friends, myself Subrata Mukherjee and you are watching my channel Dr. Subrata Mukherjee Distance Learning in Commerce. Today I am going to discuss another problem on joint venture. This is lecture number 3 and you can see the other lectures in the playlist section of the channel. I would like to request all the viewers to subscribe my channel and would like to request all the students who are watching this channel to note the question with solution in your notebook and feel free to communicate with me through email and the WhatsApp number given in the description box. Harun and Rashid entered into a joint venture to act as underwriters of a newly formed company which issued 50,000 shares of rupees 10 each. The extent of underwriting was 80%. They opened a joint bank account by contributing rupees 65,000 each. Public subscribed for 35,000 shares and the underwriters duly discharged their obligation in consideration of a commission of 5% which they received by check. Miscellaneous expenses amounting to rupees 4,800 were made out of the joint bank account. Harun took 2,000 shares at rupees 9 per share and Rashid took 2,500 shares at rupees 9.50 per share. The rest of the shares were sold at rupees 13 per share, brokerage being rupees 0.50 per share. Profits on joint venture are to be shared equally. Prepare the following accounts in the books of the venturer: joint venture account, joint bank account, and venturer's account. Now let me first explain the question. So company issued 50,000 shares. So 50,000 shares were issued by the company and 80% was underwritten. So Rashid and Harun took the responsibility of 80% of the shares and the remaining 20% were to be taken by the company. Now 80% of 50,000 shares represents 40,000 shares. So 40,000 shares were underwritten by uh, Harun and Rashid. The company took the responsibility of issuing 20% number of shares. Now 35,000 shares were subscribed. 35,000 shares were subscribed. It means that 80% of the shares represent 28,000 number of shares and 20% represent 7,000 shares. So out of these 48,000 shares which were underwritten by Harun and Rashid, public subscribed for 28,000 shares. So there was a shortfall of 12,000 shares. So there was a shortfall of 12,000 shares which were, out of which 2,000 shares were taken by Harun. So 2,000 shares were taken by Harun. 2,500 shares were taken by Rashid. And Harun took 2,000 shares at the rate rupees 9 per share. And Rashid took at the rate of rupees 9.50. And the remaining number of shares, that is 7,500, were sold at the rate rupees 13 per share, and out of this rupees 13, 50 paise was paid as brokerage. So 7,500 shares were sold in the open market for rupees 12.50. So 2,000 multiplied with 9 is rupees 18,000. So Harun took the 2,000 shares at rupees 18,000. Rashid took for 2,500 share at 23,750, and the remaining 7,500 which was sold in the open market at rupees 12.50, the total amount being 93,750. Now let us prepare the three ledgers which is required in the question. So here I am writing in the books of Harun and Rashid. First ledger that I am going to prepare is joint venture account. So on the debit side, I am writing particulars, then rupees, particulars, and rupees. So the next ledger you need to prepare is the joint bank account. So below this, I am writing joint bank account. So joint bank account. On the debit side, you have to write receipt, rupees, payment, rupees. And the last ledger we are supposed to prepare is the venturers account. So on the debit side, I have to write particulars, then Harun, then Rasid, then again particulars, Harun, and Rashid. So the first transaction is regarding the amount that was brought in by venturers. So they brought 65,000 each. So joint bank account debit to venturers capital account or venturers account. So I have to write here in joint bank account as venturers account. Harun 65,000 rupees and Rashid brought 65,000. So in venturers account, you need to write by joint bank account. 65,000, 65,000 in the column of Harun and Rashid. So they took the responsibility of the remaining 12,000 shares, and for this they have to pay. They have to purchase this share. So in the joint venture account, you need to write to joint bank account. So they have to pay to the company outright for 1,20,000. They have to purchase those shares as they have underwritten the responsibility of 40,000 shares. So 28,000 shares were subscribed by public and the remaining 12,000 shares were taken up by Harun and Rashid. So in joint venture account, I am writing here to joint bank account 1,20,000. This is the purchase of 12,000 shares at the rate of rupees 10 each. And in joint bank account, I have to write by joint venture account. $1,20,000. Now, upon purchase of 12,000 shares, they were given the commission at the rate of 5%. So, in the joint venture account, I have to write as by joint bank account. And the commission was given in cash. So, 40,000 shares, multiply this with rupees 10 per share, multiply this with 5%. So 20,000 is the amount of commission they received from the company. So in joint venture account, I have written by joint bank account. So journal entry is joint bank account debit to joint venture account. And on the debit side of joint bank account, you need to write as to joint venture account. $20,000. Now there was a miscellaneous expense of 4,800 that was paid out for a joint venture. So in joint venture account, I am writing to joint bank account and the amount paid for miscellaneous expenses 4,800. So in joint bank account, I have to write here on the payment side as by joint venture account for miscellaneous expense rupees 4,800. Now the 12,000 shares were sold out. Now we have to write the transaction for the 12,000 shares. So out of 12,000 shares, 2,000 share was taken by Harun. So I have to write here as venture by venture account. So Harun took 2,000 shares at the rate rupees 9 per share, that is 18,000, and Rashid took 2,500 share for rupees 9.50, that is 23,750. So your journal entry is venturers account debit to joint venture account. So in venturers account, you need to write on the debit side as to joint venture. So here I am writing to joint venture account 18,000 in the column of Harun and 23,750 in the column of Rashid. Now the remaining 7,000 shares were sold out. So I have to write in the joint venture account as by joint bank account. 7,500, multiply this with 13 minus 0.50, which was paid as brokerage. So 7,500 multiply with 12.50 is 93,750. So on the debit side of joint bank account, I have to record the sale proceed of 7,500 share. So to joint venture account, in the joint bank account, I have to write to joint venture account 93,750. So this way I have recorded all the transactions which are given in the question. Now it's time to close the ledgers. So the first ledger that I'm going to close is the joint venture account in order to determine the amount of profit. So you have to add up the figures which are there in the credit side, and the total is 1,55,500. So I have to write here also on the debit side as 1,55,500, and the difference or the balancing figure represents the profit. So I have to write to venturers account. This is the profit that will be shared by the venturers. So venturers account Harun and Rashid. So the difference is 30,700, and they are to share the profit equally. So 15,350 will be taken up by Harun, and Rashid will get 15,350. So this way you can see that I have completed the preparing the joint venture account. Now this amount will be transferred to venturers capital account. So in venturers capital account, I am writing by joint venture account as 15,350 in the column of Harun, and same amount is written in the column of Rashid. So the difference will be paid here to them as to joint bank account. So this is the amount that they are going to get after the closure of this event, that is the underwriting of the shares. So 80,350 is the total of credit side for both Harun and Rashid, and the difference amount will be paid through bank. So venturers capital account debit to joint bank. Harun will get 62,350 and Rashid will get 56,600. So this amount will be transferred to joint bank account as by venturer account. Harun is to get 62,350 and Rashid 56,600. So total is 1,18,950. So if you add up the debit and the credit side of joint bank account, you will get 2,43,750. 2,43,750. So those who are watching this lecture in the laptop or computer, you can visualize clearly in one screen the three ledger, that is the joint venture account, joint bank, and the venturers capital account. Hope all the students have recorded the question with solution in your notebook and tried to understand it. In spite of this, if you find any difficulty in understanding, feel free to communicate with me through email and the WhatsApp number given in the description box. Thank you. Thanks for watching the lecture.